Hi, I'm Kristin Robertson, CEO of Brio Leadership and president of the Happy Mondays Club. At Brio, we are dedicated to making sure that all of your employees love to come to work on Monday morning, because this is the sign of a vibrant and a positive company culture. Lately, we've been hearing all in the news about many issues of sexual harassment and sexual abuse, really, and abuse of power. People have been asking me, hey, Kristin, you're the Happy Mondays lady. Do you have an opinion about whether culture affects these people who've been getting away with sexual harassment for so long? And I always say, well, I'm so glad you asked, because I really do have an opinion about that. So I've come up with 4 tips for you today, 4 ways to prevent what I call a Harvey Weinstein problem. They're pretty basic, but hey, common sense is uncommon today. So I'd like to share them with you today. Let me share my screen because I've got just a little bit of a PowerPoint here for you. It'll just take a moment. Here we go. Oops. Okay, 4 tips on how to prevent a Harvey Weinstein problem at your company. So the very first one probably seems simple to you, and that is to define and communicate your company's core values. This is really simple, isn't it? But it's amazing how many companies have not defined their values. And even if you have already, it's so important to go the extra step. And here's the kicker. I suggest that you define the behaviors that both support those values and that detract from them. Because it's when you bring the values down to floor level is when people understand how they need to fit into these values. Because value words can mean anything. But define the behaviors that support them and that detract from them. And these detractors might be cause for a very serious conversation with your manager if you do exemplify them. So that's defining and communicating your values. Many of my customers have integrity as one of their values. So let's look at what behavior that would support integrity be. That would be respecting all of your employees regardless of their sex, of their religion, of their race. A behavior that would detract from that is abusing your position of power in any way. Okay, so that's defining and communicating your values. Secondly, ensure that all your leaders are regularly reviewed by their team. This is the opposite of what we have practiced for years with the annual performance review, where a manager evaluates his or her team members. No, I'm asking you to ask the team members to evaluate their manager on a yearly basis or whatever regularity you do performance evaluations. I know it's the rage now to do it after every project that's completed, and I fully support that. Here's another way to get this kind of information, and that is to have your leaders do a 360 assessment every 2 years. A 360 assessment, of course, refers to the fact that there's 360 degrees in a circle, and in a 360-degree assessment, you have both the manager, the peers, and the direct reports of the leader reporting on his or her leadership characteristics. This can really help you understand where your leaders need help and what leaders are perhaps not understanding that leadership is a privilege. Thirdly, this is a best practice of most of the companies that I work with, is to conduct employee satisfaction or engagement surveys on a regular basis. Seems like everybody kind of follows this rhythm, is that you do a full-blown employee engagement survey once a year and then do pulse surveys every quarter in between. Now, you don't have to do it that way. I have one client that does it where they send out one question every single month, and they get a lot of information that way. That way, they feel like they keep a finger on the pulse of their employee engagement ratings. But here's the kicker for this one, is that you must slice and dice your information, the results from this survey, by manager, by team even, to see if there are any hot spots in your company. This can also serve as an early warning system for managers who are disabusing their power. Lastly, for heaven's sakes, do something when you discover a problem. There were so many stories in the news over the last several months of women, in this case, reporting issues of sexual harassment and nothing being done. So I encourage you to write up a policy on what happens when someone reports sexual harassment. Tell them who to call, what's going to be done, what kind of information is going to be gathered, and what's going to happen to the perpetrator. Do something when you discover a problem. Okay, so those are my 4 tips for today. I'm going to stop my sharing and get back to you. So I hope this was really helpful to you. I know it's a hot topic right now in the news. My question to you is, would you like more of this kind of thing? If so, I encourage you to consider joining the Happy Mondays Club. This is a webinar learning group that meets the first and third Wednesdays of every month for about half an hour. And in addition to that, we get all sorts of sharing of templates and checklists and documents and Excel spreadsheets that will save you hundreds of hours as you set up your vibrant company culture. So take a look at the URL that it's on the text here on the screen, and also be aware that we're running a special this month. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye for now.